Hi, I'm Charlie Starr. The video you are about to watch is part of my free course, How to Read a Birth Chart. Signing up is easy. Simply subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell, and shoot me an email to the address in the description box below, letting me know you want to be enrolled. I will reply with a welcome email, including the syllabus and other free course materials. Then head on over to my channel page and find the How to Read a Birth Chart free course playlist. Hit play and follow the step-by-step instructions to become a true birth chart master. And now, back to this video. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. We're going to be learning the 12 zodiac signs. In this video specifically, we're going to be learning the 3 modalities. In the next video, we're going to be adding the elements, fire, air, earth, and water, to our understanding of the signs. But the reason why I'm starting with the modalities is because the modalities, in a very strong way, remind us that the quality of the signs, the energy of the signs that we then understand and interpret, comes from the seasons. So at this time, what I really suggest that you guys do is begin to make flashcards for the signs. So make 12 flashcards. Each flashcard is going to be one of the 12 zodiac signs. I recommend that you put the glyph, the astrological symbol for that sign, on the front of the card. And then on the other side of the card, I want you to write season and which modality that sign is part of. Okay, so for example, with Aries, on the front you would have the Aries glyph, and then on the back you would write Aries, Cardinal, Spring. In the next video, we're going to be adding the elements, and then there's going to be even more that we're adding on top of it, such as what planets rule that sign, which we'll get into later. But it's really important now to memorize the modalities, memorize the signs, and make sure that you have that solid foundation so that we can, when we start to build on that foundation, you don't get lost in the sauce and you'll be able to track and build complex understandings of the different parts of the zodiac. Okay, you guys, so here I have pulled up the zodiac wheel. I've removed all of the planets and everything from it so that you can just see the 12 signs in all their beauty and simplicity. We're going to be talking about the signs, and I'm going to walk you through each sign, and we're going to learn the energies of the sign based off of the season in a growing cycle of the earth, and also use the modalities as anchoring points to learn about each sign. So even though this video is about modalities, it's really a video to help you learn about the 12 signs, and modalities is sort of just an anchoring point to help remind you of this characteristic of where the sign is in the seasonal year, to understand then the energy that it provides. Okay, I hope I made that clear. Let's get right into it. Okay, so first thing that you guys probably notice is that Aries is over here and the next sign is Taurus, and you're like, oh, weird, so we're moving this way? Yes. The zodiac wheel, the zodiac year, I should say, starts with Aries, then goes to Taurus, then goes to Gemini. It moves counterclockwise. The planets are going to move counterclockwise through this wheel. Hopefully that's not too confusing. It took me a little bit of time to adjust to this, but essentially the first sign in the zodiac year is Aries, and it's right here, and we're going to be moving this way. Okay, so really quick, I'm just going to point out the seasonal points. So we have the winter solstice right here, which is when the sun moves from Sagittarius to Capricorn. And then over here we have the summer solstice, June 21st, when the sun moves from Gemini to Cancer. Then over here we have the equinoxes. So this is a period where the daylight and the night time are equal. That's why it's called equinoxes. And that would be, let's put that circle, that would be moving from Pisces to Aries. That's the spring equinox, which is also the first day of the zodiac year. And then over here, the sun moving from Virgo to Libra, the fall equinox. So it's the first day of fall. Okay, so now that you can see those anchoring points, you can understand that in a bigger sense, here we have, let's use a different color, the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter. 3, 3, 3, 3. 3 months in each season. Let's get rid of all these circles because they're annoying. All right. Now that we have those anchoring points, let's get into the signs. So, first sign we have, first sign in the zodiac year is Aries. Aries is the cardinal sign because it's the first sign in the season of spring. So in the wheel of the year, this is represented by the seed. So Aries is the seed, full of life, vigor, promise, hope, moving in a direction, the direction of adventure, the direction of its own journey. Okay, so this is Aries, and you can see the cardinal energy in that. It's moving in a direction. It's ready to go. Okay, so then the next sign that we have is going to be our fixed sign, because it's the middle of, you see 1, 2, 3, here's our spring seasons, the middle of spring. So the fixed modality is going to be more stubborn because it's going to be more fixed. It's situated itself into the middle of the season. But as you'll see, this stubbornness can also be interpreted as strength, and it's a necessary strength because Aries, the seed, needs strength. It has none of its own. It's just a seed. And so Taurus actually represents the fertile soil that supports and nourishes the seed so that the seed can begin to germinate, begin to open up and receive nutrients from the earth. So that's Taurus. The next sign that we have is Gemini. Gemini is the last month of spring, so it's a mutable sign, which means that it's concerned with change. So this is where the seed stops being a seed and starts to grow out of its little seed pod shell and poke its little head up above the earth and greet the morning sun and begin to grow itself and explore the world around itself. You can see this in the energy of Gemini because it's a very curious sign, and it's a sign that loves to learn and to explore and to sort of play with its environment. Okay, so then you have the next sign, which is a cardinal sign because it's the first month of summer. This sign is Cancer. So Cancer is where this now little young, very, very fragile, but very curious and hopeful young plant becomes anchored. So through the watering of this sign, at the beginning, this sign really represents this plant being watered, and when that plant is watered, then it has enough growth to establish roots. So with the sign of Cancer, it is, again, it's a cardinal energy. It's concerned with moving in a direction. But what's interesting about the sign of Cancer is that this is the point where the plant needs to be developing strong roots so that it can support its growth cycle. So the direction of Cancer is essentially opposite of the other cardinal signs because it's moving downward. It's moving sort of backwards. So with this, Cancer has to do with the roots, the history, the foundation, the home, the safe space, the anchoring point of somebody's life. All of these things have to do with Cancer. This has to be a strong spot this has to be a strong spot in order to essentially support the health of the plant in every other facet of life. Okay, so moving on from Cancer, the next sign we have is Leo, which is I'm gonna let you guys guess, fixed, you're right, fixed sign, because it's the middle sign of summer. So the sign being fixed, summer, what is the representation of this? This is the flower. Okay, so the flower, it's all about show, it's all about joy, it's all about getting attention, attracting the pollinators. It's the glory, the aroma of the plant. Okay, so it's the focal point, it's the star of the stage. And anyway, this sign is ruled by the sun. We'll get into that in later parts, but what you need to know for now is that the flower is just interested in being the flower and expressing itself. So Leo has a lot to do with, the energy of Leo has a lot to do with heat, joy, self-expression, attraction, and all of those things. So it is it being a fixed sign, it's going to be concerned with being itself and not really being anything else. So then the next sign that we have is Virgo. So Virgo is the last month of the summer. So we already know the modality is mutable. So that means that this sign is concerned with change. It's changing from one thing to another thing, right? It's changing from summer into fall. So what does this represent in our growth cycle year? This actually represents the gardener. So this is somebody coming in and tending to the atmosphere in order to provide optimization. The gardener sometimes has to do painful things like prune the plants and weed the garden, right? So these are things that have some suffering for the plant. You're cutting off growth and you are removing other plants. Virgo understands that pain is sometimes necessary in order to have the most profitable, the most productive, the most efficient garden, right? So this is Virgo. Virgo, with this comes the energy of the analytical eye, the person that can observe a situation or an environment and make practical changes. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about Virgo for now, but you can see that this is a mutable sign. And with all of, I would say that this is actually maybe a good opportunity to talk about relationships between other signs of the same modality. So when you have a sign, whatever sign that sign is, the sign opposite from that sign is going to be that sign's partnership sign. They're going to share a lot of things in common, as well as be opposites on some things. So this is like the opposites attract, this is the complementary nature, this is the two sort of sides of the same polarity, and the partnership sign for Virgo is Pisces. Now we haven't really gotten to Pisces yet, but when we get to it, you'll understand how one thing that these signs share is understanding the necessity of change, the importance of change, the importance of letting go of something in order to evolve and move on to the next step, and sort of embracing that sometimes that means sacrifice. Okay, so you can kind of see that with the gardener. All right, so moving on to Libra. Libra is the flower getting pollinated. So Libra is the cardinal sign, the first month of the fall, And this is the fall equinox. Libra is concerned with equality, balancing of the scales, and begins on the equinox when there's an even amount of daylight and nighttime. And Libra is also all about attraction, love, harmony. Bringing together is what Libra does best. So as you can see, pollination is perfect. This sign is also about beauty. It's also about love. And it's also about attraction. Okay, so obviously these things have to do with the pollination. This is Scorpio. Scorpio is the middle of fall, so what modality is it? Yes, it's fixed. So the middle of fall, let's think for a second about what energy that's going to have. So what is fall essentially best known for? Even though this is a fixed sign, the entire season of fall is essentially having to do with the end of a growth season. And it's kind of like there's a lot of things that are dying at this time of year, right? That's kind of sort of what marks fall. Things are getting colder, leaves are falling off the trees. And what happens at this time also is that the flower dies, okay? So when the flower is pollinated by the pollinator, Libra, then it will become a fruit, but the flower has to die, okay? So Scorpio is associated with darkness and with death, and this is a necessary step of the life circle. It's not death, it's not complete death, right? The plant isn't dying, but the flower is dying, okay? So really, it's interesting because Scorpio is a fixed sign, but it has to do with massive change, but the death that is necessary before that massive change, okay? So this is Scorpio energy, and it is the middle of the fall. Okay, and then we have the next sign is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is the fruiting body that is resulted from the pollinated flower that has now died. So Sagittarius is a mutable sign, which means that it is changing from one thing to the other. So this plant is now essentially giving of its life to pour all of its energy into being a fruit. So at this point, the plant is no longer growing new leaves or growing new buds or growing new flowers. That season is over. It now has a fruit and it's putting all of its resources into this fruit. Okay, so this sign has to do with growth. Okay, so we'll see that time and time again when we talk about Sagittarius later. Is this is the sign that symbolizes where we go to become even more than what we already are. Okay, so this is change that occurs through expansion. Okay. Okay, so then we have Capricorn. So Capricorn represents the cardinal sign. So Capricorn is the cardinal sign for winter. So here we have the winter solstice. Capricorn is the first month in winter, therefore it's a cardinal sign. Capricorn is the harvest. So now Sagittarius, the fruit has been picked. So we're picking, in Capricorn season, we're picking the fruit from Sagittarius season. We're harvesting it. But that's not all that we're doing, right? So first of all, why are we doing it? We have to collect all this food to prepare for surviving the winter. So here's where Capricorn's cardinal nature comes out. It's very focused on the season that's ahead. So that's what all cardinal signs are. They're focused, futuristic driven signs. They're looking ahead. They're wanting to see what is next.
Over here you have Aries as the cardinal sign for the spring. It's very, very much full of hope, promise, ambition, looking towards the future. The seed isn't looking behind itself. Capricorn is not looking behind itself except to make sure that it has worked hard enough, that it has taken the necessary steps in order to have something to eat during the winter. So this sign is definitely focused on, as you can see from the qualities of Capricorn, this sign is about hard work. It's putting in the time to do the necessary steps, to do what's right in order to reap the rewards in the future. Okay? Moving on to Aquarius. Aquarius is the middle sign of the winter. Okay? So what modality is it? It's fixed, right? So this fixed winter sign. And I want you to write on all your flashcards, like, Aquarius symbol on one side, that's this glyph right here. And then on the other side, you're going to write Aquarius fixed winter. And if you meditate, this can be a really good opportunity to meditate on what sorts of things or ways that you think that this sign would express itself just based on those two facts alone, that it's the middle of winter, it's fixed winter, or it's cardinal spring, beginning of spring, just based on the season alone, and see what you come up with. Okay, so coming back to Aquarius. Aquarius is our fixed winter sign. So what happens during this season? Well, basically everything is dead, but what we're left with is our community. So at this time, if you are a life form that depends on the growing seasons, which pretty much every life form does, except for artificially, humanity has found a way to disconnect from the life cycle. But in earlier times or more primitive places, and all other life forms, they depend during this time on a community, at least for a social species, which humans are. So during this time, like, say you didn't have that great of a growing season, so your crops didn't do so well, you better have that community so that you can eat through the winter. Or say, the work is subdivided, everybody's going to grow a different thing. Then during the winter, it's important that you're sharing your resource and that other people are sharing their resources so that you get the variety in your diet in order to survive the winter, right? So like, you can't harvest all of this by yourself. That kind of going back to Capricorn. Capricorn does also have a lot to do with family and lineage for some of these also reasons. But during the Aquarius season, the Aquarius sign, community is the most important thing. The other thing too is that this is the time where humans, if they're in tune with nature, this is what we're supposed to be doing during Aquarius season, is essentially sitting around a campfire, swapping stories, passing down, mythologies, sharing life, eating together, and building our strength as a group. Okay, so Aquarius has to do with group, it has to do with sharing resources, it has to do with friendships. It's a social sign. Okay, so that's Aquarius. That's really the heart of Aquarius. And then, of course, I'm really not getting into too deep with any of these signs, but this is just trying to give you something to work off of. Okay, so moving on to Pisces. Pisces is the last sign, the 12th sign, and it is, of course, at the end of winter. So what modality is it? Yes, it's a mutable modality. So this sign is concerned with change. Now, earlier we talked about it sharing some characteristics with his partner sign, Virgo. Both Pisces and Virgo are concerned with necessary change. Pisces in the cycle represents death. It represents essentially the rotting plant, the compost, the seeds that have passed through, the animals that have consumed it, as well as what remained of the plant when the fruit was taken. So all of this is decomposing, dying, death, decay. This is where everything dissolves. Every life form that existed before it is now returning back to the earth. So in Pisces, we understand the role of death in the cycle of life, because out of that composted soil, that death, decaying, rotting Pisces season, not only do we get the seed, but we get the fertile soil for the seed to grow and for our next life cycle. So all that to say, that is our wheel of the year with the zodiac seasons, using the modalities as the anchoring point.
Okay, so I hope this video was really helpful for you guys in learning the different modalities, and in the next video we'll learn the elements. So if you like this video, please make sure to like it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.